Hello, this is the RPG Crawler with another product review. Now, I covered the Ice Kingdoms campaign a while back and did reviews of their first adventures. This one was actually sent to me a while back, but due to scheduling issues, I had to put reviews on hold for a while. However, I did want to cover it, because one of the mild concerns I had with the setting was a lack of low-level adventures, and the girl with the demon tattoos is just that. It's an open-ended adventure in the Ice Kingdoms campaign setting designed for 4 to 6 characters of levels 1 to 2. Now, for those who aren't aware, the Ice Kingdoms setting is a setting designed for old-school editions, 1st and 2nd, and similar retro clones. It is based on a sword and sorcery flavored mix of Viking and Celtic populations in a fantasy medieval realm, so it covers a lot of bases. I will admit that it is sometimes difficult to write a low-level adventure for these old-school systems. It's not just a retread of the classic goblins or rats in a ruin, and yet keeps in mind the fragility of first-level characters in those systems. The girl with the demon tattoos somewhat avoids that, in that the bulk of the adventure is timeline-based rather than site-based, and involves a girl driven by revenge. There's a site-based dungeon crawl later on, but we'll get to that when we get to it. From here on, there will be spoilers, so if you're intending to play in this, you should probably stop watching here. If you're an old-school DM looking for the rundown on the adventure itself, however, or simply a curious onlooker, view on. The introduction gives the background circumstances of the adventure, telling of a war 20 years prior that pitted 2 clans and their allies against one another, eventually culminating in the defeat of the Ashlanach by the Widsith. Unfortunately, before this occurred, Elsa, daughter of one of the minor lords allied with the Ashlanach, escaped and swore her revenge, trading her body and soul to the demon Kargaroth, who bound 17 other demons into her with a series of tattoos. Now she stalks the village of Tenebris, seeking her family's old foes to exact her revenge. The chapter details the village of Tenebris, including the main NPCs and points of interest. Tenebris itself has its own internal politics, which the characters may become involved with. The introduction also details random encounters that can happen in the area as they explore. It's basically set up with enough information to allow the characters to get involved in the area and feel as if they're grounded in the setting. Chapter 2 starts with the characters encountering Elsa while feasting at the longhouse of Thane Rollo One-Eyed. It is here where she is stalking one of her prey, although that is not immediately evident except to the most perceptive. Here, too, the characters may engage in other carousing, including gaming with another NPC in the longhouse. The feast will be interrupted by Elsa vanishing after her target, and then subsequently a disturbance in another room, where the characters get their first taste of Elsa's demonic powers. After this, the Thane will put the characters themselves in charge of the investigation. Chapter 3 details the Temple of Kos and its surroundings, which is where the now-dead man's home was. Events here will include more unsettling scenes, as well as leads as to where other prospective targets may be, which leads directly into Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is where the characters must research Elsa's target list, find out which ones are still alive, and find them before Elsa. One of these targets, and Elsa herself, are at a place called the Gardens of Woe, which is detailed in Chapter 5. In Chapter 5, the characters are able to learn the tale of the hunted men one way or the other, and that'll lead them direct to Chapter 6. And Chapter 6 is where the adventure turns into a dungeon crawl, in that Elsa has returned to Stormguard Keep, which is a few days away from town. Stormguard Keep is a sizable dungeon crawl-style ruined keep, with a number of level-appropriate encounters from the typical giant rats to low-level demons. It's a fully keyed and stocked area and includes a dramatic encounter with Elsa herself. It can actually be used as its own standalone location separate from the adventure it's in. Chapter 7 is just a list of the main relevant NPCs, while Chapter 8 is a bestiary which details the monsters within the adventure in early edition stat blocks. There's actually a decent number of monsters here, some of which were adapted from existing creatures, and a few of which are actually new. So overall, what do I think about this one? I gotta be honest, it's good. And I don't say that in a, oh, I like nostalgic adventures so it's good, but rather in a, this is genuinely good stuff. The way it blends open-ended gameplay more suitable for high-level adventuring while avoiding some of the more common low-level old-school tropes is actually pretty admirable. The story itself can veer into a little bit of creepy territory from here and then, but is actually well done, and there's a lot of room for various types of play. The dungeon crawl of the keep can be as dungeon crawly or as structured as you want. One thing I noticed is that I really didn't see the sorts of editing issues that plagued the first few run-throughs of the first few adventures of this product line. I may have missed them, but all in all, it looks like a very well-polished product. Admittedly, a number of the creatures in the bestiary are old-school classics that can be found in pretty much any edition, but there's a couple new monsters suited for the adventure that can flesh out the otherwise relatively sparse monster list for the Ice Kingdom setting. So if you're looking for an interesting, dynamic, low-level adventure that avoids the usual level 1 tropes and gives a pretty solid introduction into the realm of the Ice Kingdoms itself, I think this is well worth it. It's available for just $4.99, and I will put links below as usual. For now, this has been the RPG Crawler, with a look at the girl with the demon tattoos. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you've got feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content, both computer and tabletop. If you're feeling particularly generous and want to support my channel, please feel free to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/rpgcrawler. Until next time, take care and goodbye.